She was just serving food in the mess hall until the general saw her tattoo and dropped her tray. She was just another face in the base's mess hall, quiet, polite, serving food to soldiers who barely noticed her. But one morning, when the general saw the tattoo on her wrist, his tray slipped from his hands. Because that mark wasn't just ink, it was classified. And within minutes, the entire base went silent. Fort Bragg, 0600 hours. The morning rush was the same as every day. Boots thudded on the floor, trays clanked, and the smell of burnt coffee filled the air. Behind the counter stood Private First Class Mia Torres, a 26-year-old Army cook. She wasn't a combat soldier, not a pilot, not even a medic, just one of the many who kept the base running, feeding hundreds of troops every morning. But there was something about her, something most people never noticed. She always wore her sleeves long, even in the southern heat. And whenever anyone asked about her past, she'd just smile and change the subject. Little did anyone know, her past wasn't something she could talk about. It was something she was ordered to forget. General Nathan Cole had been stationed at Bragg for only 3 weeks. A decorated leader, the kind who carried 20 years of battlefield experience in his eyes. Every morning he followed the same routine. Breakfast at 700 sharp, 2 eggs, black coffee, no conversation. But on that morning something changed. He walked into the mess hall, greeted a few soldiers, grabbed his tray, and when he reached the serving line, she was there. Mia! Their eyes met for barely a second. Then he looked down and saw her sleeve pulled slightly back, revealing a small black tattoo on her wrist. His hand froze, the tray hit the ground, and the mess hall went dead quiet. That tattoo wasn't just a design. It was a unit insignia, but not from any ordinary platoon. It belonged to a Black Ops division that didn't officially exist anymore, Shadow Recon Unit 6. The general's eyes widened. He hadn't seen that mark in nearly a decade. And the last time he did, it was burned into the wrist of a soldier who saved his life in Afghanistan, a soldier who was reported killed in action. That soldier's name was Lieutenant Maria Torres. But the name on this woman's badge said Mia Torres. Coincidence? Or something deeper? The general didn't say a word. He simply stepped back, staring, while others whispered. Mia looked confused until she realized what he'd seen. Her eyes darted to her wrist, and she quickly pulled her sleeve down. Then, without another word, she walked straight out of the mess hall. That was the last anyone saw her for 2 days. And what happened in those 2 days was enough to send shock waves through the entire base. The general immediately ordered a quiet background check. No alarms, no official inquiry, just quiet questions. But the answers he got didn't make sense. Her file said she enlisted only 2 years ago. No family listed, no next of kin, no record before age 24. It was like she'd appeared out of nowhere. So the general dug deeper, and what he found changed everything. Encrypted personnel archives showed a redacted file with the same DNA signature as Mia Torres. The file's name, Operation Emberlight, classified, top secret. Every page was blacked out, except for one line. Subject extracted under emergency protocol, memory suppression complete. Operation Emberlight wasn't supposed to exist. It was an experimental program designed to create ghost soldiers, elite operatives trained to infiltrate, then disappear completely. After the mission in Helmand went wrong, most of the unit was wiped out, except for one operative, Maria Torres. The same Maria Torres who saved General Cole's life. The same one who vanished without a trace. Until now. When Mia finally returned to duty, she was escorted to the general's office. The door closed behind her. The general stood silent for a long time before he spoke. "Lieutenant, do you remember Helmand?" Mia's face went pale, her lips trembled. I don't know what you mean." He slid a photo across the desk, a weathered picture of a dusty outpost, 6 soldiers, one of them her. Tears welled up in her eyes. Memories started flashing, chaos, gunfire, screams, and a helicopter lifting off in the dark. Then she remembered the explosion, and everything went black. Mia was part of an unsanctioned mission, the kind where soldiers' names were erased to protect the program. She'd been rescued after being presumed dead, her memory suppressed to ensure operational secrecy. But sometimes, the human spirit remembers what the mind forgets. The tattoo, the mess hall, the general, they triggered something deep inside her. By the end of the week, the Department of Defense had reclassified her file and reinstated her rank. Not as a cook, but as Lieutenant Maria Torres, a hero no one was ever supposed to remember. The next morning she returned to the mess hall, not to serve, but to thank the soldiers she once fed. And when the general entered, every man and woman in the room stood to attention. Because sometimes the quietest people in uniform carry the loudest stories. And the ink on her wrist wasn't rebellion, it was remembrance. A mark of loyalty that no amount of secrecy could erase. Stories like these remind us that heroes don't always wear medals. Sometimes they wear scars. If this story moved you, hit that like button, subscribe, and share it with someone who believes in courage, honor, and redemption. Because behind every uniform, there's a story waiting to be told.